50 degrees below zero meant 80 odd degrees of frost. Such fact impressed him as being cold and uncomfortable, and that was all. It did not lead him to meditate upon his frailty in general, able only to live within certain narrow limits of heat and cold, and from there on it did not lead him to the conjectural field of immortality and man's place in the universe. 50 degrees below zero stood for a bite of frost that hurt, and that must be guarded against by the use of mittens, ear flaps, warm moccasins, and thick socks. 50 degrees below zero was to him just precisely 50 degrees below zero. That there should be anything more to it than that was a thought that never entered his head. As he turned to go on, he spat speculatively. There was a sharp, explosive crackle that startled him. He spat again. And again in the air, before it could fall to the snow, the spittle crackled. He knew that at 50 below spittle crackled on the snow, but this spittle had crackled in the air. Undoubtedly, it was colder than 50 below. How much colder he did not know, but the temperature did not matter. He was bound for the old claim on the left fork of Henderson Creek, where the boys were already. That is from the short story To Build a Fire by Jack London. And I like this passage because it really sets up the idea, the main theme of the story, while also setting up the character, which I guess is the main theme is told through the character. And in this story, essentially the character, the man, is a bit he gets lost in a snowstorm to begin with, but he's a bit proud, he's a bit sure of himself, and he doesn't quite take into account the power of nature. I'm trying to get this video in quickly because somebody is homesick. Let's just get into it. All the words kind of lead to this idea that you shouldn't take nature lightly. And that's what this man does. He takes it lightly. He takes it for granted. And he just, based on his experience of always surviving these type of things and these kind of weather conditions, it's whatever. So there's this repetition of 50 degrees below zero just means this, blah, 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 blah. Who cares, right? Keep saying it over and over again. It just means that to the man. It's just a number. It doesn't matter. I keep going. I've got my moccasins. I got my thick socks. What is there to worry about? Why should I be sitting here pondering? In fact, in a way, to be, seeking gold in these conditions in the Yukon, out in Alaska, Canada, you kind of have to be a bit cocksure and crazy and not really care about the consequences, the possible consequences of what could happen, right? So he doesn't go down that philosophizing route of that conjectural field of immortality, right? He doesn't get into these philosophical ideas. He's not going to think about the fact that he could die out here. He's just after his gold, right? And that gold sickness, that disease of seeking gold, is going to come back to bite him, right? Because that's what pushes him on instead of, caring about his life. And I guess that says a lot about the Yukon gold rush, and that's kind of the point of the story. But again, there's a lot of repetition. All that 50 degrees below zero just happens again and again and again. 50 degrees below zero, 50 degrees below zero. It keeps reminding the reader, but apparently that's not enough to remind the man, right? That's not enough to remind the man that this is dangerous. He just basically he spits on the nature, right? He just turns from the coal and goes and spits. That spittle. He spat speculatively, right? You speculate on a claim, on a gold claim. These are Good uses of basically double meanings, I guess. Double entendre, not quite. But this time, his spit doesn't reach the ground. It kind of blows up midair. It's so cold. I've never seen this. I've never been in weather like this, so I don't know if this is completely true and possible, but probably is. But even though that happens, and it kind of explodes in the air right next to him, he just, whatever, and spits again. He keeps spitting on nature. It's that idea. It's kind of an image of, I've got this, no big deal. He's just bound for that claim. He's bound for that gold. The boys are there. They're waiting for me. Right? It's undoubtedly colder than 50 below. But the temperature, it didn't matter. Right? And I don't know. Because I'm in a time crunch today, that's about all I got. Take care.